It's 3 in the morning. The copper bell in my shop rang. I put down the yellow paper in my hand. Get up and open the door. The night wind from outside blew in a choking smell of burnt stuff. The old street is very quiet. The street lights are a dim yellow. Not a single person. But there was a tiny figure crouching on the doorstep. It's a girl, about 6 or 7 years old, wearing a pink cotton coat, tied up in 2 little pigtails. The ends of her braids are tied with red bows. She lowered her head, holds something with both hands. The whole pose looks like a little turtle tucked into its shell. I crouched down. Try to keep your eyes level with hers. Little sister. Who are you calling? She slowly lifted her head. My face is clean. Big eyes. The pupils shimmer with a watery gleam under the streetlight. She didn't cry. But that expression without tears is more heartbreaking than a full-on sob. Her lips moved a little. Your voice is as soft as a mosquito's buzz. Sis. Are you the one who talks to the dead? I froze. Most folks call me the owner of a paper supply shop. Good point, let's call it arranging things. No one has ever defined me so directly before. But I gotta admit, he's right. I guess so. What's up? She held up the thing she'd been cradling in her hands. It's a paper crane. Burnt paper crane. Only half left. Half a wing missing. The head is completely burned off. Just one scorched triangular piece left. But through that burnt outer layer, I could barely tell the paper was a bright yellow color. It's not an ordinary material. It's ghost money, the kind you can only buy at a funeral supply store. I took the paper crane. The moment my fingertip touched the paper, a wave of heat shot up my arm out of nowhere. Not hot. It's hot. It's like sticking your hand into a charcoal fire that just went out. Can you feel the temperature? But it doesn't hurt. The heat wave carries a certain smell. A strong, pungent, the kind of smell that makes you instinctively cover your nose and mouth. Smoke. Not cigarette smoke. It was the smoke from burning wood, plastic, and fabric all mixed together. Smoke from a fire scene. Who gave you this paper crane? I asked. The little girl shook her head. Nobody gave it to me. It just flew here by itself. When? Last night. Mom wasn't home. I was sleeping alone in my room. The window wasn't closed. She flew in through the window and landed on my pillow. There's writing on it. I turned the paper crane over. There was indeed writing on the inside of the torn piece. It was blurred from the smoke. But when I leaned in and looked closely, I could tell it was written with a ballpoint pen. The strokes were very heavy. Every single stroke looked like it took a lot of effort. Don't be afraid. Just 2 words. I read those 2 words 3 times back and forth. Then I looked at the little girl. What's your name? Xiaohe. Xiaohe. Why did you come to me? Her tears finally fell. It wasn't a loud wailing cry. It was silent, dropping one by one, like beads off a broken string. She wiped her face with the back of her hand, sniffled, trying hard to keep her voice from shaking. I want to find the person who saved me. Mom said she died. But I can't find her. I want to say thank you to her. After she said that, she pulled a neatly folded piece of paper from her cotton coat pocket and handed it to me. I opened it. It was a newspaper clipping. The edges were already yellowed and frayed. The headline was in bold black font, Late Night Fire in Residential Building. Firefighter, dies a hero. I quickly skimmed the text below. 5 years ago, a fire broke out in an old apartment building in this city. The initial cause was determined to be aging electrical wiring. When the fire department arrived on scene, the fire had already spread to the 5th floor. A firefighter rushed into the burning building 3 times. He rescued 4 people, including a 2-year-old girl. When he went in the 4th time to search, part of the building collapsed. He was buried under the rubble and died. What was the firefighter's name? It was in the report. Xiaohe circled those 3 characters with a pen. Next to it, written crookedly, were the words uncle. Thank you. I looked up at Xiaohe. 5 years ago, when he was 2, that little girl rescued in the report was him. Every year, my mom takes me to the fire station to leave flowers for uncle. His voice got quieter and quieter, like a candle about to burn out. But mom says uncle is dead. She says he can't receive flowers anymore. Sister, can you help me get this letter to him? I just want him to know. I put the paper crane and the newspaper clipping on the counter, took Xiao his hand, and sat him down in a chair in the shop. I poured him a glass of warm water. He held the cup in both hands, taking small sips. Every now and then he'd glance up at me, like a little animal checking if it's safe. I sat across from him, my mind racing. A thumb-folded paper crane had flown itself into a little girl's window, with "Don't be scared" written on it. This wasn't your ordinary paranormal event. This was an incredibly strong obsession at work. That obsession had no malice. It wasn't out of resentment, not out of hatred, and not even because of regret. Its core was simple. So simple it made my nose sting. To finish the story outlined about 5 firefighters who died on duty. The female owner of the innocent paper shop deals with paranormal events. When a firefighter runs into a burning building, he doesn't think, "Am I going to die?" He thinks, "Are there still people inside?" The last time he ran in, it was because he thought there were still people inside. He wasn't sure, but he couldn't gamble. If he was right, that was a life. If he was wrong, it was just climbing a few more floors. He took the gamble. As the story gets to this point, I want to recommend the Treasure Trove platform for listening to stories. The Douyin Select app. The Douyin Select app has tons of stories to choose from, but also tons of awesome creators hanging out there. It's a hotspot for hits. Go download it and give it a try. He guessed right. Xiao he was rescued, but he lost his life with that bet. Here's the thing, dying after saving a hostage. His spirit should have no regrets. The mission was done. The person was out, so he could move on peacefully. But those words, "Don't be scared," were only half said. The first half was out, but the second part never made it. What he wanted to say was probably, "Don't be scared. I'll get you out." Or maybe, "Don't be scared. Your mom's waiting for you outside." No one knows what the second half really was, because the floor collapsed. His words got stuck in his throat, so he couldn't leave. He had to finish that sentence. I looked at the firefighter's name on the clipping again. Qin Shouzheng was 23 when he died. 2 years younger than me. The photo showed a young face, thick eyeballs and big eyes. The corners of his mouth slightly raised, like he was joking with someone off camera. "Xiaohei." I stood up. "I'll help you deliver it." Xiaohei's eyes lit up right away. He jumped off his chair, ran up to me, and looked up at me. "Really? Really? But you have to promise me one thing." "What?" "Go home and get a good night's sleep tonight. Your mom will be worried if she can't find you." "I'll walk you home." Xiaohei nodded hard, like a chick pecking at rice. I sent him to his doorstep. His mom was standing in the hallway on the phone, her voice so anxious it cracked. When she saw Xiaohei pop out from the stairwell, she grabbed him in a hug, scolding him with a mix of worry and anger, then gave me a puzzled look. I smiled and waved my hand. He turned and walked away. Got home around a little past 4 in the morning. I didn't sleep. Sat behind the counter and started flipping through files. Old Lee gave me a call. Pulled out of bed. After grumbling a bit, he still helped me dig up the full details on that fire from 5 years ago. It was way more complicated than what the paper said. The fire started in an old residential building from the 80s in the east part of town. 6 floors total. 3 units. The origin was the electric meter box on the 2nd floor of Unit 1. The flames spread fast through the junk in the hallway and the old wiring in the walls. After the fire department got the call, they arrived on scene in 4 minutes. But the hallway in Unit 1 was already completely blocked by smoke. Qin Shouzheng was part of the first wave going in. He started searching from the 1st floor and worked his way up. Found the trapped old man on the 3rd floor. Carried him down. Went back up a 2nd time. Found the mother and son on the 4th floor. Brought them down too. When he went up a 3rd time, the smoke on the 5th floor was so thick you couldn't see anything. He crawled up to the 5th floor in the dark. Felt his way along the doors on both sides of the hallway. In the last room, his hand touched a small body curled up under the bed. That was Xiaohei. He lifted him up, covered his mouth and nose with a wet towel, started heading back down. When he got to the 4th floor, the building started making ominous sounds. According to the other guys at the scene, at that moment he could have just sprinted down. 10 seconds and he'd be out the unit door. But he didn't. He paused at the stairwell landing on the 4th floor. Checked Xiaohe from head to toe. Made sure he wasn't hurt. Then turned and yelled something to his buddy behind him. Couldn't make out what he said. Because the next second, the floor collapsed. Qin Shoucheng's body blocked the falling debris. Xiaohe was tucked in his arms. Only got minor injuries. Qin Shoucheng got pinned in the chest by a concrete slab. By the time his buddy stuck him out of the rubble, he wasn't breathing anymore. His last words came after he was pinned. Just 2 words. His voice was really faint. His buddy had to put his ear right up to his mouth to barely hear, "Don't be scared." I closed the file on my phone, leaned back in my chair and stared at the ceiling for a long time. 5:30 in the morning. I started making paper. What I was about to make wasn't complicated, but it required a lot of care. First, I made a paper figure. Not the kind you burn for the dead. Those have no face. Just a vague outline. I needed one that could recognize itself. So the face had to look as much like Qin Shoucheng as possible when he was alive. I took that blurry photo from the newspaper clipping, dipped a brush in ink and painted stroke by stroke. Thick eyebrows. Big eyes. A high nose bridge. Thin but wide lips. With the corners slightly upturned. After I finished, I stared at it for a while. The curve of the right eye felt off, so I wiped it off with a damp cloth and redid it. I went back and forth 3 times before I finally put the brush down. The paper figure was done. Then I started on the second item. A paper fire truck. Not a complex model. Just cut from cardboard. On the red body, I wrote Wanchen 19 in gold powder. On the roof, I folded a paper water cannon. On the front, I drew a small emblem. A badge. In the center of the badge, I painted a crane with its wings spread. The paper figure. The fire truck. Plus, one more thing. A paper crane. This crane couldn't be folded with shiny paper. I found a piece of beige rice paper. Cut it into a square. Folded it in half. Folded it over. Creased it. Shaped it. I did each move slowly and carefully. After I was done, I wrote 2 characters on the left wing of the paper crane with a brush. Xiaohe. On the right wing, I wrote another 2. Thank you. Then I placed the paper crane in the figure's hand, posing it so it looked like he was holding it. By the time everything was ready, dawn had already broken. I didn't act right away. You can't handle something this powerful during the day. Too much young energy would backfire. I put away the paper figure, the paper truck, and the paper crane, set up a cot in the shop, and took a nap. At 3 in the afternoon, I was woken up by a phone call. It was Xiao Xia, his mom. Her voice sounded really worried. She said Xiao, he had been running a fever since noon. It went up to over 103 degrees. Even after taking fever medicine, it wouldn't go down. She asked if Xiao he had caught a chill last night. I said I'd head over right away. When I got to Xiao He's place, he was lying in bed, his face as red as an apple. Lips chapped, eyes closed. He was mumbling something unclear. I put my hand on his forehead. It was definitely really hot. But what I felt wasn't just the heat. There was also a faint, electric-like vibration coming from inside his body. I asked his mom to go out and get a glass of water first. Once she closed the door, I pulled back Xiao, his blanket, and tucked down the collar of his pajamas a little. Below his collarbone, there was a mark about the size of a fingernail. It wasn't a bruise. Not a rash either. It was a light gray, kind of dull mark, shaped like a burned flower. This was a sign of yin energy invasion. It wasn't malicious. It was from contact. Xiao He had been wearing that paper crane. Not under his pillow, but right on his body. And whatever was attached to that paper crane, when the temperature was right, would make contact with a living person through the crane. For a kid Xiao his age, too much yin energy could trigger a high fever. It wasn't that the spirit wanted to harm him. It was that the paper crane carried his obsession, and was too close to him. I put my hand on that mark, closed my eyes, and silently said a sentence in my mind. I'll deliver your thing for you. But don't come near the kid anymore. The mark's temperature dropped a little. It didn't disappear completely, but at least it wasn't burning up anymore. When his mom came back in with the water, Xiao's breathing had already calmed down a bit. I didn't explain too much. Just said it might be a seasonal chill. Drink more water and rest more. Me. It was already evening when I left Xiao, his place. I grabbed a bowl of noodles at the corner, then took a cab to the east side of the city. Those old apartments have been gone for a long time. After the fire, the whole building was deemed unsafe. They tore it down. The site turned into a temporary parking lot, covered in gravel. A few dusty vans and an abandoned bus were parked there. North of the lot was empty land waiting for development, overgrown with weeds. I stood in the middle of the parking lot, closed my eyes, took the paper crane scraps from my pocket, and held them in my palm. The wind blew from the north, hit my face, with that dry, chilly feeling of late fall. But the wind I felt between my fingers, it came from a different direction. It was blowing up from underground, damp, with a scorched smell in the air. He was down there, not buried, but trapped. Firefighters died in the fire. Their bodies were carried away. The families had their mourning. Everyone thought he was already gone. He had gone where he needed to go. But the firefighter had never left this building that no longer existed. His soul was still here, at the corner of the 4th floor stairwell, repeating the same action over and over again. Picking up the child, turning around, taking a step, and then the floor collapsed. It wasn't that he didn't know the child was safe. It was that he didn't know he himself was safe. In his mind, he still hadn't finished the mission. The child in his arms hadn't been taken to a safe place yet. He hadn't confirmed that the kid was okay. So he couldn't leave yet. I put the paper crane fragments back into my pocket. Looked around. On the east side of the parking lot was a patch of concrete ground. That used to be the entrance to the building's stairwell. I walked over, put my backpack on the ground, and started setting up. 10 o'clock at night. The parking lot was empty. When the last car drove off, the driver rolled down his window and glanced at me. He thought it was suspicious that this woman was squatting in a vacant lot, messing with yellow paper. But after hesitating for a moment, he hit the gas and left. I lit a circle of candles right in the middle of the concrete ground. Not white ones, red ones. 36 candles in total, arranged in a circle. In the center of the circle was the paper fire truck. Next to the fire truck was a paper figure holding a paper crane. I took out the paper crane that had Xiaohe and Xixi on it from my backpack, and placed it in the paper figure's hand, right next to the fragment of the other paper crane folded from bright paper. Then I lit the candles. When the flames lit up, the temperature around me dropped sharply. It wasn't from the wind. It was a cold that came from deep in your bones, like someone opened the door behind you to an ice cellar. A thin layer of frost started to form on the gravel of the parking lot, right at the edge of the candle circle as the boundary. Inside the boundary, the ground was normal. Outside the boundary, the gravel was all covered in a gray-white frost. I heard footsteps, not coming from far away, coming from underground, step by step, very slow, very heavy. It's like someone walking down the stairwell. No, not down, up. Something was coming up from underground. The footsteps stopped less than 6 feet behind me. I didn't turn around. I pulled a lighter out of my pocket and lit the paper fire truck. The paper truck burned fast. The red body curled up and turned black in the flames. The numbers 119 written in gold powder flashed in the fire and then vanished. But I saw it clearly. The moment the paper truck burned to ash, the shape of the flames changed. It looked like a spinning wheel, like a real fire truck driving out of the station. After the paper truck burned up, I lit the paper figure. When the paper figure started burning, the wind stopped. All the sounds around me disappeared. Even the car noise from the road far away felt like something had sucked it away. I crouched by the circle of candles, watching the paper figure's face slowly scorch and warp in the flames. Fake eyebrows and big eyes, a high-nosed bridge, and a slight smile at the corners of the mouth. When it burned down to just a tiny bit left, I suddenly heard a voice. Not the wind, not footsteps. It was a person's voice, very soft, with a raspy, faraway quality, like it came from a really, really long distance. Is the kid safe? I looked up. The candle flames flickered in front of my eyes. In the glow of the flames, I saw a human-shaped silhouette standing on the other side of the candle circle. Not tall, about 5'7", wearing a firefighter suit, its color already unclear. The helmet was gone. His face was all soot and sweat. He was holding something in his arms, a small curled-up ball of light shaped like a person. He was still holding him. 5 years. He'd kept that pose the whole time, cradling that ball of light against his chest, not crushed by the floor that came down on him, not burned by the fire, not choked by the smoke. He protected that thing perfectly, like he was waiting for someone to hand it over to. My tears started falling. I've been in the papercraft business for 6 years, dealing with the afterlife for over a decade. I've seen all kinds of ghosts. But Qin Shuzheng, like this, I haven't seen that before. His obsession wasn't hate, not regret. It wasn't even about wanting to survive. His obsession was the kid in his arms. He didn't know the kid wasn't real anymore. He didn't know it was just a phantom cast by his memory and obsession. He only knew he had to protect him, had to bring him somewhere safe. It was safe now. I stood up. My voice was hoarse. The kid is safe now. In the glow of the fire, that silhouette paused for a second. He lowered his head slightly, looked down at the light orb in his arms, then looked up at me. His mouth opened, moved a little. The sound that came out was broken, like he was making sure he heard right. He's safe. Safe, I said, and pointed at the paper crane still burning in the paper figure's hand. He's 5 years old now, not 2. He can run and jump and talk. Today he asked me to say thank you. I said Xiao, his name once. I said, thank you once. The last flicker of flame inside the circle of candles jumped. Then it shot up more than a foot. At the center of the flame, the paper crane with Xiao He and thank you written on it caught fire. Its wings stretched open in the fire, like it was flying. That human silhouette lowered his head, looked at the light in his arms. He stared for a long time. Then he gently, slowly placed that light on the ground. When the orb hit the ground, it scattered. It turned into a soft halo of light. Inside the halo, there was the shadow of a little girl. She had 2 pigtails. She waved at him. Then she faded away. He stood up straight. The fire lit up his face. That face looked exactly like the photo in the report. Thick eyebrows, big eyes. The corners of his mouth turned up, except the soot and sweat were gone from his face now. It was clean, like he just washed his face. He saluted me. It wasn't a standard military salute. It was the kind firefighters do. Make a fist with your right hand and press it to your temple. Really hard. The knuckles were popping out. Then he turned and started walking north. He took 2 steps. Then, he stopped. Turned back to look at me. His lips moved. I heard 2 words. It wasn't. Don't be afraid. He said that word clearly. Crisp. No distortion at all. Thank you. He disappeared into the night. At the same time, all the flames in the circle of candles went out. All 36 candles snuffed out at once. Not a single one burned down slowly. Every single one looked like someone blew it out. The parking lot went back to normal. Gravel path. Abandoned bus. The sound of cars from the road far away filled my ears again. I squat down and cleaned up the candle remnants and the ashes. 2 things in the ashes didn't burn up. A folded fire department badge. It had burned down to just a frame. But inside the frame was a little piece of metal, like a fragment of something. I picked it up, hauled that up to the moonlight, and saw it was a piece of metal that had melted and then solidified again. Irregular shape. The surface was covered in tiny bubble-like pits. I flipped the piece of metal over. On the back were some blurry numbers, 1107. That was Qin Shuzheng's badge number. I put the piece of metal in my pocket, stood up and brushed the dust off my pants, raised my hand to check my watch. 11:40 p.m. 20 minutes left. Xiaohe's fever should break tonight. I didn't go straight back. Before hailing a cab, I bought a bottle of water from the convenience store on the street, unscrewed the cap, and poured the water on that cement patch. As I poured, I said something softly. Brother. Mission accomplished. Don't hang around here anymore. Go where you need to go. The wind came from the north. Hit me on the back. Very light. Like someone tapped me on the shoulder from behind. The next morning, his mom gave me a call. She said Xiaohe's fever had gone down. It went away on its own around 4 in the morning. The temperature dropped from over 102 degrees straight to 97.7. Like flipping a switch. She also said the first thing Xiaohe said when he woke up was, Mom, that uncle said he got my flowers. I held the phone and laughed for a long time. After I hung up, I opened the iron box under the counter. and put the metal piece that read 11907 inside. There were already a few things in the iron box. A military insignia brought back from the snowy mountains, and a copper button from a police uniform. When the metal piece went in, it touched the military insignia and let out a crisp clink, like two strangers who were once comrades greeting each other. I closed the iron box and locked it again. The copper bell at the shop entrance rang. I looked up toward the door. The sunlight was beautiful, lighting up the old street's cobblestone path. A little girl in a red cotton jacket ran past the door, with two pigtails. The little bows on the tips bounced as she moved. I smiled and lowered my head to keep folding my paper crane.